Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Jarvis Barney with your VON Major News package for today, Wednesday, 1st January 2020. In our lead stories nationally, Prime Minister Harris pledges team unity commitment to strengthening nation in New Year's message, and Nevis's traffic department investigating New Year's accident. Regionally, Dominican women's group to push for sex offenders registry. Internationally, Hong Kong kicks off 2020 with fresh protests. And in sports, West Indies Dottin heads list of 21 players selected for pre-World Cup camp. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse.
Wow.
Welcome back now on to the national news in detail. In his New Year's message to the Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris has pledged his government's commitment to continue to serve the people and nation with honor and dignity. Prime Minister Harris noted that his resolve to keep building a stronger and safer future for St. Kitts and Nevis is strengthened every year.
This is especially so in this seminal year of 2020, when the future of the country will be decided. My hope is that 2020 can be a defining year for our great federation. We have an exciting future within our grasp. Having paid off Labour's crippling IMF debt and through focused economic management, our economy today is stronger than ever before. Our debt to GDP ratio is around 55%, the best standing among the independent states of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, and we achieved this milestone ahead of the Currency Union's target date of 2030.
As 2020 being an election year here in the Federation, the Prime Minister urged residents that we should keep looking towards the nation progressing and not moving backwards. In closing, Prime Minister Harris extended best wishes to all for the new year.
There is too much at stake to turn back and lose it all now. Let us instead make 2020 the year St. Kitts and Nevis embrace a stronger and safer future and set our nation permanently heading in the right direction. I wish you and your loved ones much health, much wealth, and much happiness for the coming year. May God's blessing be upon you in 2020, and may they be on our beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I thank you and wish you all a happy new year.
Indicates that the incident occurred sometime this morning, today, January 1st, between 4 and 5 o'clock in the Cotton Ground area. Reports are that a RAV4 two-door Jeep slammed into a wall in the above-mentioned area on the island's main road. It is understood that all the occupants of the vehicle are currently hospitalized at the Alexandria Hospital. The vehicle was extensively damaged and the conditions of the occupants are not yet known. Information surrounding the incident is sketchy, and the VON Newsline will bring to you more details on this story as it develops. The St. Kitts Nevis National Carnival Committee on Tuesday, 31st December, held the Haynes Smith Miss Caribbean Talented Teen Pageant. The event was held at the Sugar Mill Warner Park in St. Kitts. 11 countries participating in the country, namely Dominica, Nevis, Anguilla, St. Kitts, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Martin, USVI, Guyana, and St. Lucia. At the end of the night, Cassandra Edwards of St. Lucia was crowned this year's Miss Caribbean Talented Teen. Miss St. Martin, Shanisha Robinson, took first runner-up, whilst second runner-up went to Miss USVI, Cleshel Gaskin. Residents and citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis are being encouraged to help protect crop production. This comes on the heels of remarks from Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, stating that it is imperative that members of the public do all in their power to protect crops from pests such as the Mediterranean fruit fly. Alias Medifly, the United States Department of Agriculture has categorized it as one of the most important agricultural pests in the world. Also high on the Federation's watch list is the carambola fruit fly. The Ministry of Agriculture said both species can be imported into the Twin Islands state by persons who sneak in undeclared fruits, plants, or vegetables. Government also implemented a robust surveillance system to help protect against the spread of the Mediterranean fruit fly and the carambola fruit fly. Fruit fly traps have been placed at the Deepwater Port, the Bastille Ferry Terminal, the R.L. Bradshaw International Airport, and Port Zante, as this would allow officials to monitor and document any infestation. The Fiscal Incentives Amendment Bill 2019 was successfully passed in the National Assembly on Friday, December 27th. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, stated that the need for amendments arose after the European Union Code of Conduct Group on Business Taxation, EUCOCG, evaluated the Fiscal Incentives Act, Chapter 2014 of the Revised Laws of St. Christopher and Nevis 2009 on the basis of its tax governance criteria, after which the Act was considered as potentially harmful by the group. The EUCOGC subsequently requested that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis make a high-level political commitment to have the potentially harmful features of the Fiscal Incentives Act abolished or amended by December 31st, 2019. The three main amendments being proposed to the Act are namely 1. Amend the definition of an enclave enterprise in Section 2, interpretation of the Act to lift the requirement to produce exclusively for export such that enclave enterprises are permitted under law to sell goods within the common CARIBCOM market and in the local market. 2. Repeal the export allowance as per Section 16 and the second schedule of the Act. A grandfathering provision is being inserted to indicate that there must be no new claimants for an export allowance for January 2020, and outlining that benefits to current claimants will continue up to December 31st, 2022. And 3. Insert a provision to declare that the rules of profit attribution, which are expressed in Section 4A and 4B of the Income Tax Act, apply equally to the Act. Some 350 persons received assistance under the Social Security non-contributory pension. Senior Minister and Minister responsible for Social Security, the Honorable Vance Amory, last Friday, stated that the St. Christopher and Nevis Social Security Board found favor with his request to have an extra month's assistance payment made to the more than 350 beneficiaries. According to Senior Minister Amory, these are people who are at the low end of the social economic scale and can always benefit from some additional assistance. Non-contributory pension includes the assistant pension and invalidity assistance. Assistance pension is a monthly pension made to persons who are over 62 years of age and who have not qualified for the regular age pension from Social Security. A successful applicant must be in need, not having a secure source of income, and having no other means of support. Invalidity assistance is a monthly pension paid to persons who are between the ages of 16 and 62 years of age and who are unable to work but who have not qualified for the regular invalidity benefit from Social Security. A successful applicant must be in need, not having a secure source of income and having no other means of support. The present rate of non-contributory pensions is $250 per month, according to socialsecurity.kn. Football star Marcus Rashford has sent donations to the children's home in Basse St. Kitts. Barrels of goods were sent to the home based on photos on social media platforms. The football star said he couldn't forget his roots and he is proud to give back to the country where his grandmother Nana Henry is from. Marcus Rashford was born in Wythenshawe, Manchester, and is of Kittitian descent. Rashford is an English professional footballer who plays as a forward for Premier League club Manchester United and the England national team. And Justice Trevor Ward QC has recommended some ways in which officers could improve their performance in court and encourage the officers to be fully prepared for court proceedings. This, he said, at a recent commissioner's lecture in St. Kitts, in which he was the guest speaker. Justice Ward, speaking to those present, said the manner in which you prepare and present your cases will impact eventual outcomes. He noted that the police play a very pivotal role in ensuring that justice is served. He also reminded the police of their significant contribution to the justice system. With regards to the aforementioned, he encouraged the officers to be fully prepared for court proceedings, to keep proper notes, and to study their cases inside out. In Justice Ward's view, the lead investigator on any case is viewed as a coordinator and should be versed in all areas of the case, whether it be forensics, liaising with other departments, dealing with victims, or the preparation of statements. At the lecture, he also commended the officers who consistently performed at a high standard in court and encouraged them to help others to do the same. And that's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Bank of Nevis, we know you have your personal as well as your business needs, and we're here to help. Our knowledgeable staff will work with you to help you achieve the financial success that you or your company needs in a competitive market. We offer solutions to make your banking experience easier, like our savings and checking accounts. Be sure to ask about our youth savers accounts and our Bank of Nevis Gold Club. We offer a wide range of personal loans, including mortgage, land, student, auto, and consumer loans. Have access to your funds instantly with our Be Online internet banking and our debit and credit cards. We make international banking and investing easy. How's your business? Give it the leverage it really needs by letting the Bank of Nevis assist you with all the necessary funding for all your business expenses. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Bank of Nevis.
Welcome back, and now on to our regional news. Out of Dominica, the Business and Professional Women BPW Dominica chapter has started its intention to advocate in the new year for a sex offenders registry in the country. President of BPW Dominica, Rhoda St. John, said the organization will work with other women's groups in the region to ensure the sex offenders registry becomes a reality. A sex offenders registry is a system in various countries designed to allow government authorities to keep track of the activities of sex offenders, including those who have completed their criminal sentences. St. John said the aim is to make a list which will be made public in order to create awareness of the perpetrators in the various Caribbean countries. The BPW president said that in order for the organization to take an effective stand against violence, a sex offenders registry is one of the things that need to be implemented. At the moment, sex offender registries exist in 2 English-speaking Caribbean countries, namely Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. In Antigua and Barbuda, 241 people became Citizen by Investment CIP registered citizens of the country during the first half of 2019 alone. CIP figures for the second half of 2019 have not yet been released, but are expected to be tabled in Parliament sometime this year. According to the Antigua Observer, the major recipients on the list includes 71 people from China, 19 from Bangladesh, 17 from Libya, 16 from Russia, 13 from Syria, 12 from Lebanon, 10 from Nigeria, and 9 from Egypt. According to documents outlining applications under the CIP from January 1st to June 30th, 2019, these people all received citizenship, most of them through the National Development Fund NDF option, which is used to fund government-sponsored projects, including public-private partnerships and approved charitable investments. Meanwhile, the Barbuda People's Movement BPM candidate Devon Warner has officially claimed the seat vacated by the late Freeston Thomas BPM in Barbuda Council's by-election held in the country. Warner garnered 69.8% of the total ballots cast with 309 votes as he soundly defeated his only challenger in the race, independent candidate Hesketh Daniel, who garnered 29.8% with 132 votes. Warner joins his fellow BPM council members, Council Chairman Wade Burton, Kendra Beezer, Nadia George, Jacqueline Frank, Kelsey Joseph, and Sharima Myers. And in more news out of Dominica, the Office of Disaster Management has confirmed that the occurrence of an earthquake at about 11:10 a.m. on Monday, December 30th, that it was reportedly felt by some members of the public. According to ODM Director Fitzroy Pascal, the information was reported by the Seismic Research Center, which is responsible for earthquake monitoring throughout the Caribbean. He said the information indicated that the earthquake was of magnitude 3.8, approximately 54 kilometers north of Roseau and 10 kilometers deep. DominicaNewsOnline.com quoted Mr. Pascal as saying there were no reports of local impact to persons or property by this earthquake. He said the Office of Disaster Management continues to work closely with the Seismic Research Center in Trinidad in order to keep the public informed. And that's it for our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back on to the international news. Hong Kong's protesters have welcomed a new decade via a New Year's Day rally with tens of thousands joining a pro-democracy march. Though the gathering was largely peaceful, violence broke out in some areas and police fired tear gas. On New Year's Eve, demonstrators had formed human chains that stretched for miles down busy shopping streets. The BBC's Jonathan Head reports.
If you listen to the 5 demands that these protesters talk about, in many ways they're symbolic, and one's already been met anyway. The extradition bill that sparked these off was withdrawn. There's a much broader sense among the protest movement of their concerns about encroachment on Hong Kong's autonomy and the erosion of its identity. And I feel for a lot of protesters, they just want to keep on protesting. They don't feel there's any answer to this. The government also is backed by Beijing, doesn't appear to want to give any impression of giving concessions. So we are locked in this tremendous battle of wills. And even 7 months on, there really is no sign of either side shifting.
Bushfires have killed at least 8 people in the southeastern Australia since Monday, while 2 others remain unaccounted for. The latest fires, which raced towards the coast this week, have also destroyed more than 200 homes. 7 people have been confirmed dead in New South Wales and 1 in Victoria. Conditions have eased slightly, and the major road that was closed in Victoria was reopened for 2 hours earlier today to allow people to leave. However, many people remain in fire-hit areas. In one town, police dropped off 1.6 tons of drinking water by boat. Protesters angered by recent deadly U.S. airstrikes targeting an Iranian-backed Iraqi militia have attacked the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad. U.S. troops fired tear gas to disperse a crowd that breached the outer wall of the compound, which is in the capital's heavily fortified green zone. A guard post on the street nearby was also set alight. U.S. President Donald Trump accused Iran of orchestrating the attack and said it would be held fully responsible. Here is more from the BBC's Alan Johnston.
Ranks of militiamen converged on the embassy compound. They chanted anti-American slogans, flung stones, and then columns of black smoke began rising above the scene. A guard tower had been set alight. Dozens of protesters forced open a door and managed to enter the compound before forces defending it fired tear gas to try to disperse them. There's been high tension since US airstrikes on Sunday killed at least 25 members of an Iranian-backed Iraqi militia group.
Former Nissan boss Carlos Ghosn has traveled to Lebanon after fleeing Japan, where he faces a trial over allegations of financial misconduct. In a statement, Mr. Ghosn said he had not fled justice, but escaped injustice and political persecution.
Although born in Brazil, Carlos Ghosn is one of Lebanon's favourite sons. His grandfather emigrated from here, and Mr. Ghosn spent part of his childhood in Lebanon. The government issued a postage stamp with his picture, and he's even been spoken about, half seriously, as a possible president of the country. It's thought he entered Lebanon using a French passport, arriving by private jet from Istanbul on Sunday evening. Lebanon receives millions in aid from Japan, but despite his recent legal troubles, Carlos Ghosn is still seen as one of its most successful businessmen. Lebanon won't give him up easily.
As Islamist militant, and Al-Shabaab Islamist militants have claimed responsibility for last Saturday's massive car bomb attack in the Somali capital Mogadishu that killed 81 people, including 2 Turkish citizens. The attack hit a busy checkpoint in the southwest of the city, leaving vehicles burned. And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
I need a cool laptop, a new backpack, and so do all my friends. I need cute notebooks, folders, flashlights, pencils, and my pens. School is exciting, but it's no fun without all the tools I need. But I'm at ease, cause it's a breeze if I shop at TDC. Oh yeah!
It's back to school at TDC Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis. Your one-stop shop for all your school supply needs. Get bundle savings on backpack and computer packages, but save 20% off all back-to-school materials and printers. Back-to-school shopping is made easy at TDC Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis. See stores for details.
Welcome back on to the sports. In cricket, DeAndre Dottin has been named with 20 other players by Cricket West Indies selection panel for a pre-World Cup camp from January 6th to the 25th in Antigua to finalize their preparations for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. DeAndre returns to West Indies women's duty after shoulder injury and a lengthy rehabilitation period, which ensured her full recovery and availability for the team. Captain Stephanie Taylor, who missed the T20 International Series against the visiting Indian women's team in November, will also be returning, along with bowlers Shamilia Connell and Shakira Selman. CWI's women's and girls head selector Anne Brown-John stated that the panel has selected a squad showing a mix of youth and experience in preparation for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. The pre-World Cup camp is scheduled from January 6th to the 25th, during which the final squad for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup will be selected before departure to Australia. The ICC Women's T20 World Cup will take place between February 21st and March 8th. Still in cricket, Cricket West Indies CWI announced the appointment of Trevor Penny as the new West Indies men's assistant coach on a 2-year contract. Penny's area of expertise is fielding, and he will work with the team for the white ball formats, One Day International and T20 Internationals. The 51-year-old will join the West Indies team on January 2nd as they start preparations for the upcoming international home series against Ireland. The tour will feature 3 Colonial Medical Insurance One Day Internationals and 3 Sandals T20 Internationals from January 7th to the 19th. In football, Wayne Rooney could start on his Derby County debut on Thursday when they host Championship strugglers Barnsley. England's all-time record goal scorer signed an 18-month player-coach deal with the Rams in August, but has been ineligible to play until this month. Derby's poor form, coupled with suspensions, means manager Philip Cocu could call on the 34-year-old from the start against the Tykes. In tennis, Russia's Maria Sharapova will compete at the Brisbane International in January after receiving a wildcard. The 32-year-old former world number one played just 15 matches in 2019 because of a long-term shoulder injury. Five-time Grand Slam champion Sharapova last played a competitive match in the first round of the US Open in August. In more tennis, former world number one Venus Williams has withdrawn from the season-opening Brisbane International after suffering an unexpected setback in training. The 39-year-old, who won the last of her 7 Grand Slam singles titles in 2008, hopes to play in Adelaide before the Australian Open in January 20th. A replacement for the world number 52 will be announced on Thursday. World number one Ashley Barty and Australian Open champion Naomi Osaka are among a strong field. The tournament begins on January 6th. And lastly, in our sports segment, in more cricket, England bowler Jofra Archer is a doubt for the second test against South Africa in Cape Town with a right elbow injury. The 24-year-old did not bowl during training today. The second test gets underway on Friday, with South Africa 1 up in the 4-test series following a 107-run win in Centurion. Archer had missed both warm-up games because of illness, which has affected 11 England players on the tour. England are expected to include a spinner in their team, with Somerset off-spinner Dom Bess favourite to play ahead of Matt Parkinson and Jack Leach. And that's it for sports. The weather is next. Welcome back. Tonight, though, partly cloudy with a few cloudy spells and a moderate chance of showers. The weather tomorrow, partly sunny with a low chance of showers. The winds east at 6 to 12 knots or 11 to 22 kilometers per hour. The seas 1 to 1.5 meters or 3 to 5 feet. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:40 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, 1st January 2020. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Prime Minister pledges team unity commitment to strengthening nation in New Year's message, and Nevis's Traffic Department investigating New Year's accident. Regionally, Dominican women's group to push for sex offenders registry. Internationally, Hong Kong kicks off 2020 with fresh protests. And in sports, West Indies .in heads list of 21 players selected for pre-World Cup camp. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Brown wishing you a pleasant evening.